of the reasons why I didn't get medical insurance, I know that now, is I think I could have afforded it like even 2 years ago, but fear. Fear kept me from asking Marianne, how much is medical? Because I always thought that it would probably cost 200 G's, 300 G's.
A drink and drive, and you get into an accident. You are the one who was the driver. Most people don't know that that is an exclusion.
You will not be covered.
You'll not be covered.
So don't get a medical insurance cover and then go and drink and drive because me I have insurance. It doesn't work like that.
They will not, because remember, you made a choice.
For the past 11 months, Wealth Tribers have been taking part in the 1 million emergency fund challenge. Every month, we've been depositing 83,333 shillings in our Sanlam Money Market Fund. At the end of this year, 2024, a lot of us will have over 1 million shillings in our savings, which is such a beautiful thing, because not only will it be the first time for a lot of us to have a whopping 1 million shillings in our accounts, in our investments and savings accounts, not just a bank account. This is also the first time a lot of us will start experiencing a sense of financial security. It is very important for us to have an emergency fund. And by interacting with my friend who's on set today, her name is Mnyindo, I recently realized that an emergency fund is part of building a protection portfolio. And if you're wondering what is a protection portfolio, especially if you haven't been watching a lot of my videos, I've introduced the topic of protection portfolio. That's why I have Marianne on set today. She's a protection specialist, and I'll give her an opportunity to introduce herself.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Agatha. My name is Mnyindo Tyro, and I'm the founder and lifestyle protection specialist at Risk Africa. And I love that question, Agatha. What is a protection portfolio? And you've started it very well, that the emergency fund is the first step towards building a protection portfolio. So what is a protection portfolio? This is a collection of financial products that are meant to act as a financial safety net in the case of, unforeseen circumstances, to mitigate financial risk. Because again, in as much as we're in the process of building our wealth, again, we know life is not perfect. So it's important to have a protection portfolio to protect your investment portfolio. And an emergency fund is a good place to start. But again, as we have mentioned, there are some emergencies which are big that an emergency fund cannot take care of. And I know we're going to go through that.
Yes. So one of the interesting questions, I didn't think I would get this question from Wealth Tribers, but one of the interesting questions they asked me, okay, Agatha, in December, when I have my 1 million shillings in my money market fund, what am I supposed to do with this money? Imagine somebody asking you.
It's a legitimate question.
It's a legitimate question. I just didn't expect it. Them asking me, what are we supposed to do with this money? So first of all, it is your money. So it is up to you to do what you want with it. Of course, I hope that you're not going to blow it in 1 month in December, right? I'm hoping that you're not going to throw a Christmas party with money you worked hard for 12 months and then you start again from zero. But because you've asked for my opinion, I'm going to tell you what I think you should do with that 1 million shillings. I think that 1 million shillings should be your foundation for building your 1-year emergency fund. And what is an emergency fund? We know that an emergency fund is money we save to cover unexpected costs. And these unexpected costs can be, let's say, if you lost. In fact, one of the most interesting questions I ask people is, if you lost your job tomorrow, how long would you last while maintaining the same lifestyle?
I'm sure most people are.
I'm sure a lot of people, and a lot of people, because I coach people for a living, right? A lot of people say 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, which is very dangerous, right? And I tell people a good position to be is for you to be 6 months and above. So if you lost your job tomorrow and you can sustainably sustain your life for 6 months, you're good. A year, you are Wonder Woman or Superman, if that's a thing for you. The 1 million shillings should go towards building your 1-year emergency fund. And as I said earlier, I recently, like Marianne taught me that, for me, I was building an emergency fund and I knew it is to cover unexpected expenses. Then Marianne taught me that, first of all, building an emergency fund is such a foundational thing because it is part of building your protection portfolio. And I was like, protection portfolio. What is your protection portfolio? And so she explained to me how, you see, Agatha, it's very important that you teach people about investing in money market funds, real estate, bonds, the stock market, ETFs, and so forth and so on. That is wealth building. That is you building your wealth. That is you improving your net worth. That is you saying that a year ago or 2 years ago, my net worth was 1 million shillings. Like between my poverty, I have 1 million shillings, right? But 2 years later, you worked so hard by investing in these things that I've mentioned, and now your net worth is 5 million. Now you're worth 5 million shillings. But the thing is, what if something happened to you and you had to start from scratch?
How many people has that happened to?
Because of an illness, because of a hit and run car accident, because of theft, because of a scam, a financial scam.
Exactly.
So the thing is, then what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to build a protection portfolio. And it turns out an emergency fund is part of building a protection portfolio.
Exactly.
So we want now Maria to take us from there and for us to explain further what's a protection portfolio and what are the layers of a protection portfolio.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So as you have mentioned, Agatha, very, very well, that an emergency fund is a very good place to start, because the reason why we think about a protection portfolio is the financial security aspect of it. And again, as you said, there's a way that you walk and talk if you know that you have backing. You know that no matter what happens, I can always move forward. I don't ever have to start from scratch.
I have options.
I have options again, So an emergency fund is a very good place to start, because you know that, okay, if my workplace is not doing well, it's toxic, I can leave. If I'm to be let go, I'm declared redundant, I can leave. You know, if I was to have a leaking roof, you know, I have some money to fix it. I don't have to go into my investment portfolio.
Yes.
Because remember, as you always teach now the wealth tribers, that the investment portfolio, as you said, is to now grow this money. Today, I'm in 1 million. Tomorrow, I want to know that, okay, I'm at 3 million, right? So when it comes to now the protection portfolio, yes, emergency fund. And then now we have to now go a bit further, because there's, as I mentioned, some emergencies that an emergency fund cannot cover. If you are to be admitted today, and we know how the cost of maybe ICU beds can be, or a cost of a critical illness can be. Would you feel good that that 1 million that you have built the last 1 year to go down in just 1 week?
Yes.
And this is a reality to so many people, because a lot of people get illnesses that they never expected. And unfortunately, I don't know what is happening now or what is in the water. Even people our age are getting cancers, are getting heart attacks, even a stroke.
Yes.
So you can imagine you've spent so much time and put money aside to build that emergency fund. And then, you know, you're told, okay, this is happening. You need to be admitted, or you need now to take care of this medical condition. And then all that money goes. So now the next layer after building now an emergency fund is now getting into medical insurance. Because medical insurance is a financial tool that is meant to take care of unforeseen medical expenses. Because like an illness, an accident, an injury, nobody ever knows when they're going to fall sick. We pray to God for good health, but sometimes life just happens. So now when it comes to now the medical insurance, at least it gives you access to hospitals and is able to pay for the medical expenses, the medical bills in the case now you are to fall sick or get into an accident. So that means that instead of your emergency fund taking care of this big bill, let the medical insurance take care of it. Because it's you literally just putting a specific amount aside to be able to take care of a huge amount. A good example is, have you ever wondered why now when you're getting medical cover, maybe you're putting aside 35K and they're telling you you're covered for like 1 million shillings? Because remember, when it comes to insurance, we are all sharing this risk. All of us could fall sick. We just don't know who, when, and how. Right?
So it's like insurance is like, the word is like pooled. You're pulling resources together so that if any of us ever get sick, you can be covered. Using my money, but at the end of the day, it's like we are protecting each other. That's the business of insurance.
It's very community backed, because it's like we like to say it's the fortunate many covering the unfortunate few. Because again, you could go a whole year you've not fallen sick, but that premium of yours is going to take care of someone else who fell sick. At the end of the year, I'm grateful I didn't fall sick. But I would rather, even when I'm doing my financial planning, I would rather plan for a foreseen 100,000 compared to an unforeseen 3 million.
I like that statement because somebody could argue, if I have 3 million shillings in my emergency fund, I feel like I can cover my medical expenses, right? But the thing is, you don't know how big your medical bill is going to be. So, and at the same time, even if you feel like your 3 million is too high that you can cover your medical expenses, why do you want to start from scratch again?
Right? Because you'll have to take everything and now start from zero.
Why do you want to start from
or
zero?
Or even negative. There's some people who have to get into debt.
Actually, harambees are a thing. Like almost everyone is in a medical scheme WhatsApp group where somebody is raising funds almost every other day. That's a Kenyan reality. And so what we are saying here, that is why you need to get a medical insurance. So maybe I can even ask, and you know, and in this conversation, we will also talk about in a few minutes the shift thing, right? We'll be talking about NHIF all these days. And if you are a politically conscious Kenyan, which we all need to be, you know the drama that we have been experiencing when it comes to the new government medical scheme. We have to talk about it. But maybe you can directly answer the question, why is getting a medical insurance crucial?
Okay, I love that question because remember, at the end of the day, Agatha, you are your biggest asset.
Yes.
You are the money maker of your business. You're the money maker for yourself. The moment you fall sick, Agatha, you cannot make money.
Yeah.
So we have to protect you from now any medical expenses, or to make sure that in the case of anything happen to you, you have access to hospital. So it's very crucial because, again, nobody can ever foresee what illness could happen or what accident. Because another thing I tell people, you could be such a safe driver, but you could meet a crazy driver on the road
who has nothing to do with you.
Who has nothing to do with you. So you are out here living your life, and then something unforeseen happens. Because look at it this way. We have quite a long life ahead of us, right? And the one thing we don't know is what can happen in between. Because again, life is not perfect. I really wish we were in utopia, but we are not.
We are not,
right? Because there could be sometimes things are going okay, sometimes not really. So you want to know the time that things are not going so well, especially when it comes to your health. Your health is your wealth. We all know that if you are to be sick today, you will use everything that you have to get to
recover.
So a medical insurance will be very important to make sure that you have access, to just make sure that you get back to normal and you can continue where it is that you left off when you're okay. Yes.
That's very important. And of course, as when you talk about medical insurance, a lot of people, I included, our biggest fear when it comes to medical insurance is how much it costs. That's our biggest fear. And now we can talk about what factors to consider when getting a medical insurance, because cost is one of them. And you can start out with cost. And I'll share from my own experience. For me, this is the first year, and Marianne knows because I got medical insurance from Risk Africa, which is her company. This is the first year that I have private medical insurance. I feel
congratulations.
So proud. Thank you. But then I feel like if anybody asks me, what did you achieve in 2024? I got private medical insurance, right? Because I have been surviving on NHIF for the longest time. And one of the reasons why I didn't get medical insurance earlier, and I know that now, is I think I could have afforded it like even 2 years ago, but fear. Fear kept me from asking Marianne, how much is medical? Because I always thought that it would probably cost 200 Gs, 300 Gs. At the end of the day, it ended up costing 78,000 for because we like talking numbers on this channel. If we can share information that is useful, I will do it. So it eventually it ended up costing me 78,000 for a whole year worth of for that medical insurance. So the thing is, Marianne, when it comes to cost, is it possible for somebody to afford getting a medical insurance cover in this country?
My God, medical insurance can get as cheap as NHIF or SHIF, right? Okay, let me not talk about it. Let's say about NHIF. SHIF, we know how high it can get. So, and medical cover, remember, when it comes from a cost perspective, we even have a place to start. Budget covers. A budget cover is one that is very, very affordable. Could start even from 6,200 a year, Agatha, depending on your age, for inpatient. 6,200 shillings for you to have a budget cover. So a budget cover still gives you access to some hospitals, but the only difference is, compared to now the premium covers that you're going to get into, compared to maybe what it is that you have, you might not have access to tier 1 hospitals.
Okay,
but you still
there has to be a catch.
There had to be a catch.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're going to take something that is more affordable,
Yes.
but now you'll have maybe to forgo some bigger hospitals. So with this one, you can now maybe go to the Nairobi West Hospital,
which is a good hospital.
Even Coptic is a good hospital,
Yeah.
Avenue Hospital. And with that, it gives you some sense of security and peace of mind in the case of an admission. You're not going to be left there in the reception.
Yeah,
because we know how it is
in
in Kenyan hospitals. If you do not have money or you don't have medical insurance, they won't admit you. Because how assured are they that you're going to pay when you're feeling better?
Yeah.
So remember, budget cover can start from 6,200, and then for budget in and out can even go to 20K.
Okay.
25. That's now both inpatient and outpatient.
Yeah.
So that's a very good place to start, especially when you're very tight on cash. And this to just tell you that, okay, in case of anything, I can have access to some hospitals.
I like that because then it also teaches us that if you can't afford, like I said, I'm currently paying 17,000 per year, not per month, per year for my medical insurance cover, right?
Yeah.
If you can't afford that level, which is real, right?
Yeah,
even
me,
you sent me 3 options when I was getting medical insurance. You sent 3 options. I couldn't afford the other one because the other one was like 120 something, right? So we are saying here, if you can't afford to pay that high, you can afford to start with something.
Exactly.
I always say, do something. Do something, right? Instead of not having anything, do something.
Exactly.
And then when you get a better job, when your financial wellness improves, right? Or when your net worth improves, right? You can always top up and get a better cover.
Yeah, always.
Yes. So the 6,200 is better than nothing.
Yes.
And it's even better than withdrawing your emergency fund. Yeah. So cost, we continue with. So we've been told that between 6,200 to 25,000 and even 20,000, you can get yourself budget covers.
Yes, exactly.
And so what else is there in terms of cost?
Okay, so now we go now to the next level for people who maybe want the Aga Khans, the MP they're just more comfortable than Nairobi Hospital. So then you're going to pay a bit more, but you have access, because remember, medical insurance is about access to now these institutions or the doctors. So with that one can start anywhere even from like around 30,000 for inpatient only, maybe like about 1 million.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you want more coverage, like 10 million, it can go higher. So that can be anywhere from say around 30, 35,000, all the way to even 80, 100, depending on what are the extra levels of protection you've added, because inpatient only can be affordable, the 30-something thousand. By the way, inpatient is the most crucial because you cannot, as I said, be able to afford admissions off pocket. It doesn't make sense logically.
That's an important point, because I remember when you were helping me get my medical insurance, I remember telling you that usually I'm not a sickly person.
Yes.
Like usually I'm not a sickly person. Usually I just suffer from flus and colds here and there.
Yes.
In fact, I can't remember like the last time I got into a major illness. So I remember we were having a conversation about, then is it okay for me who then get ill a lot for me to just get the inpatient cover?
Exactly.
And you said, so maybe you can address that for people to understand that it's affordable.
That's a good question. So again, like I always tell you, Agatha, we insure the amount of money that we do not have in our bank accounts to take care of a big emergency. So the reason I'll take out inpatient cover is because I don't have 5 million shillings that I'm willing to spend on a medical emergency.
Yes.
I love some level of predictability, especially when it comes to my life. So if you want to start out, you can start with inpatient, at least to just have your peace of mind knowing that if it was in the case of an admission, that can take care of it. And again, if you already have an emergency fund, it means for this outpatient small cost, my 5K, my 3K, those those are things that you can easily afford compared to now an admission. You can take that money out of your emergency fund and then eventually replenish it. So if you're starting out, the most important, especially when you're young and you're healthy and you rarely fall sick, you can just check, okay, last year, how often did I go to hospital? Maybe not that often. So what you could do is just get a very good inpatient cover, a healthy inpatient cover, and then you can self-insure.
You can self-insure for outpatient. I actually remember you gave me that option, and I thought it was a very nice option until I told you that usually I have to visit the dentist a lot, right? I have to visit the dentist at least twice a year, and then I wear glasses. I can't live without glasses. So you say those two things are outpatient. So for you, Agatha, you cannot live without outpatient cover. And so that's how I ended up having to take both inpatient and outpatient. This information is very important because then you can see that what we're trying to say here is medical insurance covers, when it comes to the question of costs, are customized.
Yeah,
exactly. They're customized to your needs, right? And that's why the question, because one very frequently asked question, people ask me when I start sharing that I have medical insurance, people ask me, which medical insurance company do you use? And I shy away from telling you X company, because if I tell you X company, what if it doesn't serve you?
It's true.
What if it doesn't serve you? There are many other factors that you need to consider when you're getting a medical insurance cover, apart from just cost. And which are those other factors?
Okay, so you see, even when you're getting a medical insurance, again, that's why we cannot say, oh, this one will be the best for you until now we know what is your exact situation.
Yes.
Because maybe your doctor does not take maybe Jubilee.
Yeah.
And they take UAP.
Yes.
So, and you go to this doctor often. Why will it won't make sense for you to take a cover that maybe the doctor is that you prefer does not
Especially when you've been seeing this doctor for so long. I gave her an example of my dentist. I've been seeing my dentist for so long. It would break my heart for me to dump her and find another one, right? So she asked me, I remember you asked me that one of the ways that we can choose for you which medical insurance to go with or not is, you're a lady, you see a gynecologist often, right? So which medical insurances does your gynecologist take, and which ones does your dentist take? And I was like, this makes so much sense, right? Don't just ask somebody what medical insurance do you use and then go and buy that one.
Because it means that if you take one that your doctor does not use, you'll have to pay off pocket, which beats the purpose of why you took medical insurance in the first place. So we've spoken about cost, very important. And then secondly, now you've seen which hospitals are covered. You see, as I said, if you're looking into the Aga Khans, the Inpatient, you have to take premium cover. And if you're getting you're looking at the cost only, you can get now the budget cover. So the type of hospital you want to access or the type of specialist you want to access is very important. Thirdly, which is very, very important, a lot of people don't put into consideration, is sub-limits of cover. So most of the time when people are told, hey, you have a 10 million shilling cover, you think that it is just that 10 million shillings. When you go to hospital, and then sometimes people go and you're told, oh, madam, your cover is over at 400,000. Then you don't understand why. But because of that specific condition, the limit was 400,000. Yes, you might have a 10 million shilling cover, but the sub-limits within the limit. So for different conditions, insurer has capped or has put specific limits for specific conditions. That's why it's also important to always check, if I have a pre-existing condition, let me look for an insurer which has a higher sub-limit for pre-existing condition, so that you know that in the case now you're to get admitted because of a pre-existing condition, that can be taken care of. So always go back to your insurance policy document to see, okay, yes, I'm covered for 10 million, but maybe out of that 10 million, a whole 6 goes to accidental. And then the rest is now inpatient for now illnesses. And then you realize, my goodness, I'm actually, it's not what it is that I expected.
And that's a very important point, because you see, at the end of the day, insurance being business, they will spend a lot of money on marketing, right? And so you'll be walking around or moving around Nairobi, and then you'll see this very beautiful billboard or even an advert on TV of an insurance company, and that advert is like, oh my God, this is so sweet, right? I'm thinking of one that I've seen recently, actually, this is so sweet, and you're like, because of this advert, let me get company X, let me get this company. And then you go buy the insurance, and then later when you're sick, that's when you realize, actually, this condition that I have, it only covers me up to 200,000. And then now you're back to square one. Customize your medical insurance cover to your needs, because it is yours.
So, and we're all different.
And I like that. I'll repeat, because she said, you can find someone, because, I also interact with a lot of my coaching clients, and they will tell me, don't worry about me, I have a medical insurance cover that covers me up to 10 million. Actually have a person in mind. They have a medical insurance that covers to them that high, but then their dental cover is like 30,000. Yet she has extreme dental needs. You see, so it's like, the point is, these things have sub-limits depending on which illness and which condition. That's very important. Okay.
So sub-limits of cover is important. Waiting periods. Because it's important to take into consideration after how long will this cover kick in?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's different waiting periods for different conditions. A very good example based on the number of DMs I get. Nyindo, I'm pregnant.
Oh my goodness.
Can I get medical insurance to take care of
when
this?
I'm already pregnant.
When I'm already pregnant.
Yeah.
So it's something like, what is it? This pregnancy, the maternity, the waiting period is 12 months. So it means if I was to fall pregnant today and then I come and like, oh, I need medical insurance. That means even if I was to get the medical insurance today, I have to give birth in 9 months.
Yeah.
So as long as I give birth within the waiting period, I will not be covered. Because you have to look at it this way. You have to get insurance before the condition happens.
Yes.
Let me give you a very simple example. You have something that most people understand, like a car. So you cannot take a car and then you go get into an accident or your car is stolen. And then you come to the insurer, please give me insurance to take care of this car.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. The insurance is not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So same thing with something, say like pregnancy. You cannot fall pregnant and then you go and tell the insurer, please, can you give me insurance to take care of this pregnancy?
Yeah.
It does not work.
You get it before.
Get it before. So if you have a partner or you're doing whatever you're doing.
You need to do either you stop doing or you get medical insurance. Okay, so waiting period is a factor.
Yes. So this is how now, like, let's say people with pre-existing conditions to not be covered immediately. There's usually like a 1-year waiting period. Even chronic illnesses, same thing. There's always a 1-year waiting period before you access. So something like just a normal inpatient, about 30 days.
Yeah.
Just again, the same example. I cannot get malaria and then go quickly and
try.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's like people try to game the system.
Outsmart the system.
Yeah.
Hey, there's nobody who loves their money like the insurance companies.
So they've done the math, they understand.
They've done the math, they know. Yeah, they'll always catch you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a waiting period for a lot of major illnesses or a lot of critical illnesses.
Exactly.
So it's important, and that's why preparation. I think I think there's also a video. I had a conversation with you, and we said that preparation. It's better to get prepared as opposed to waiting for the situation.
Exactly.
Right? So
risk management is better than crisis management any day.
You wouldn't have said it better.
Yeah. Because a lot of Kenyans, our people, we don't plan things beforehand. And then life happens. That's when now we're starting, now to be like, okay, Agatha, save me with 500, 5,000. Now you're looking, now you start creating now the WhatsApp groups. But it's good to be prudent in your planning and to foresee. We know that this is a possibility. I know life could go in so many different angles, but this is a possibility that could happen. So that's why I said, I rather put this 30,000 aside for my own peace of mind, knowing that if something was to catch me somewhere ahead, there's money, there's access.
Yeah. And the truth is, life is life. I think my most common statement nowadays, life is lifing, because I recently got into a hit and run car accident like 2 weeks ago. Of all the people, when you're thinking of an illness, of an accident, we always imagine outwards, right? Not that you think of a specific person, but we never imagine it happening to you. And then it happened to me 2 weeks ago. And in that split second, and in that split second, I saw my life disappear. I either imagined myself being disabled, and I was like,
Sasa, what would we do?
Where would I have gone from there? Thank God I came out alive and okay, apart from a few pains here and there, which my medical insurance cover. I'm so happy actually, which I actually remember, like as soon as that accident happened and I realized that physically I am okay, right? I was like, but I have medical insurance. Because at that point, like when you get in an accident, you actually need to see a specialist, right?
Exactly.
I had to see an orthopedic surgeon. And let me tell you, the consultation fees for an orthopedic surgeon, it's not cheap.
Yeah, no, it's not cheap.
It's not money I would have gotten out of pocket. Yes, I have an emergency fund, but I wouldn't have felt nice. So it's very important for you to understand that. You prepare before. That's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've talked about waiting period. What other factors should we consider?
Another very important factor to put into consideration is exclusions. What is not covered? We've spoken about what is covered, the benefits, the sublimits, the limits.
Yes.
But what is not covered in this policy?
Yes.
So it's good to always go back to now the breakdown of now what is the thing that I could go to hospital for, and they tell me that this one is not, it's excluded. So I remember I'd mentioned to you something like having a drink and drive and you get into an accident and you are the one who was the driver. Most people don't know that is an exclusion.
you will not be covered.
Yeah, you'll not be covered.
So don't get a medical insurance cover and then go and drink and drive because me, I have insurance. It doesn't work like that.
They will not, because remember, you made a choice to drink. You made a choice to drive. Under the influence. You could easily have said maybe someone to take you home, or you just choose not to drink, to drink at all. But because the insurer will see that you are the one who's put yourself in that position. So it means that they'll not take care of that situation.
So if you drink, I even remember you mentioning that if you drink and drive, the first thing that happens after an accident, the doctors actually ascertain whether you were drunk. So you can't run away from this one. So what other things are excluded in medical insurance covers?
This is one the one that most women are not happy with, contraceptions.
Man. Right, no.
Mulichagua kuenda, nani aliwalazimisha?
Hapana, you can't argue. Look at this guy on my set. I understand.
I'm just saying that's usually most of the thinking of now.
Insurance,
So you see, when it comes to contraceptions, it's just generally not covered. Because I think the insurer does not see it like it's a matter of life and death. It's not, it's almost like it's a choice to go and partake.
So even, I understand what we mean. So even when you're married, right, and you are,
it doesn't matter.
It's just not covered. So in that case, you're supposed to cover it out of pocket.
So make sure that you take care of it yourself. Because there's some things which don't, like that, they're not covered.
So they'll cover giving birth and pregnancy, but they will not cover how you got there.
We need to talk to our industry. And then another thing that does not get covered is plastic surgery by choice. They will do plastic surgery. Maybe you got into an accident or you had an illness and you had to do plastic surgery. But the one which you just do a walk-in and now you try to get the doctor to change something about your body that you don't like, that is not done. And some couple more conditions that I'll share with you an ebook that you can share with your community that does a very good breakdown of the same.
Like at the end of the day, the point here is when you're getting a medical insurance, when you're choosing one, make sure you understand what is covered and what is not covered, right? So that one day you don't get mad, because one of the most viral, it's interesting, one of the most viral videos on social media is about somebody complaining how their insurance company did not pay them or did not cover something. And most of the time, if you sit down with that person and go through that document, it's written there.
It's written.
Told you that. But because you didn't read that document, and this also brings us back to our conversation. So last year, Miriam and I sat down and talked about education insurance policies. A lot of parents, they get to that point where now you need this money to pay for your child. And then there's nothing that is being paid. Maybe because you missed a payment and it was written. If you miss a payment, you forfeit.
All these things are written.
You forfeit all your amounts of money, and then you go on social media and rant. Of course, we empathize with you, but it was written.
I always say the same energy that you read that employment contract is the same energy you should read this
insurance document.
Because remember, this is supposed to come through. Insurance is an agreement, a contract. So you need to know what are you agreeing to. Before even getting something, so that you don't get a surprise. You can't be like, this is what I thought, but it was in contract, it was not there.
It was not what you thought.
So it's good. There's what you think and what is actually written. There's something an agent can tell you and what is actually written. So please always go back. You have a 30-day window period where you can go through it. And if it's not something it is that you expected or someone misled you, can always get your money back.
Read the
within
document.
The first 30 days.
Read the document. And I always say, if you don't understand what the document says, get somebody to read it for you, right? Get somebody. You can, I think even you can consult a lawyer or even an independent consultant like Marianne, because she understands insurance jargon, right? She will read it for you and help you understand what you signed up for. Instead of waiting for so long and putting your money in it, and then one day it doesn't help you. At the end of the day, it will be an absolute waste of time and money for you. So the other thing,
the last one was jurisdiction of cover. So it depends. If you're someone who travels a lot, because now the nature of work is really changing. There are people who maybe are employed by employers outside the country and they have to travel quite a lot. So it will not make sense for you to just have a local cover. It will make sense for you to get an international cover, so you can be able to access hospitals or even clinics outside of Kenya, depending on where it is that you're going. So if you're someone who travels, maybe just within Africa and Asia, you can get that. Or if you also go to Europe, it will be good to just make sure that you have the access to hospitals when you need it. Because most people maybe try take care of it through a travel cover, but travel cover is only for emergency.
Yes.
Only. You cannot just walk into our hospital and they take care of it.
Yeah, only for emergency illnesses when you're traveling.
Yeah,
Otherwise, if it's a normal illness,
no.
Okay, that's a good thing to know.
So it's always good to now, depending on what it is that you do. With a lot of our clients, especially in the UN, who have, you know, been contracted, maybe they don't have the benefits because they're not fully employed. Now they have to get their own international covers because they do travel a lot. And remember, your life is your responsibility.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Fortunately or unfortunately. Because remember, the employer, it's about their numbers. Right?
Yes.
For you have to make sure that you're good no matter where it is that you're at.
So jurisdiction is an important thing because I don't know whether it's my circles or it's the people I follow. Very many people want international covers nowadays.
Really
Why?
Because they don't have limits, sub-limits like the Kenyan ones.
And do we have, actually the question is, do we have local insurance, local insurers, who provide international covers?
So what they do is they partner with international insurers.
Okay.
So there's the ones who are just international insurers by themselves. And nowadays there's local insurers who are partnering with international, because, you know, the local already have the groundwork done. So they do partner and to be able to give access to,
But that must be expensive, right? Getting an international,
Interestingly, expensive is a very relative.
I know, you know.
So let me just give you a very good example of a client who took one the other day. So for her, she's about, I think, 38 years, and she just wanted inpatient medical because she travels also a lot.
Yes.
So for her, she's paying about, I think, $1,200 a year.
Okay.
So that's about how much per quarter? Like 300.
Yes.
Yeah, $300 a quarter.
That's not as extreme as I would have thought.
Yeah, and this is a $2 million $2 million policy. It's not 2 million shilling, $2 million.
I honestly would have expected that it would have been way higher than that. Okay, so options are there. I think it's good to give such examples because then it helps you get rid of your fear, right? It dispels your fear where you thought that you cannot afford it, and even if right now I would say I may not be able to afford that, then I can think about how can I save towards getting there.
I think that is eventually the ultimate where maybe we should all be aiming at, because I love the fact that it doesn't have the two sub-limits the way the local ones have. And as I said, the good thing is you start with what it is that you're comfortable with and where you're at, and then now if your source of income has increased or your investments are giving you a good amount per month, we have clients whose investment portfolios are paying for their insurances. So they don't have to think about, there's a specific asset that is assigned to their insurance.
Yes.
So they don't have to think, okay, where does it have to come from my own pockets?
Actually,
so it's very smart.
That's
so
actually a very good thing.
You can attach it to a bond, whatever asset it is that you've chosen. Again, remember, we're buying these assets so that they can help us. Instead of it now coming from our pockets, we use our money to buy an asset, and the asset takes care of these different bills.
I'm glad you said that, because on the Wealth Tribe I have taught people, you know, Kenyans, we are very scared. It's a big problem. Like, we are very, very scared of rent. Kenyans and their relationship with rent, it's like, me, I want to buy an apartment so that I no longer have to pay rent. I want to buy a piece of land and build so that I no longer have to pay rent. And I always tell people, I'm not saying do not do that, but there's a cheaper way of doing it, right? Like, I gave an example where I said, if you live in a house where you're paying like 30,000 per month, right? Where you're paying like 30,000 per month, just multiply that figure by 12 to understand how much money you pay. You need to pay per year, and then work it backwards. And I have a video guide about this. So if you're wondering, how do you work it backwards? I have a video guide. Work it backwards and see how much money do you need to put in bonds, for example, to offset your rent obligation. It's the same thing she's saying. Like, ask yourself, if you were to open a money market fund account, specifically to use the interest in that money market fund account to cover your medical insurance.
Yeah, that's it. So you don't even have to think, it's not coming from your pocket. So whether you have a job or not, there's an amount that is being paid towards this.
And now that we're talking about people who are even thinking about getting international health insurance policies, you mentioned earlier that like right now, because of what is happening with SHIF, formerly NHIF, you're getting a lot more clients getting private medical insurance. Maybe you can tell us, what do you think of SHIF?
My God.
Because, and I'm asking this because you and I have had conversation and I've watched a lot of your videos where even when I was getting my private medical insurance, you encouraged me to also get an NHIF. And I had an NHIF and I was paying, I remember I was paying as a self-employed person, I was paying 500 bob per month. And you encouraged us, you told us, get NHIF. It is like you said that when you have an HIF, I remember a practical example where you said it covers for you 400 shillings per day.
4,000.
4,000.
Yeah, when you get admitted.
Yeah, 4,000 shillings per day for a bed, right?
Yes.
But that was an HIF.
Yeah.
And it was working. In a lot of ways, it was working.
Yes.
What is your opinion of this new thing?
My God, if I'm to be very honest, I'm still looking at it, but at what it is I've already seen so far, the numbers are not looking very good. So we're going to be paying more for less benefits.
We are paying like 2.7% of our
especially
income.
for people who are getting
employed,
salaries and employed.
Yeah.
They're going to be paying such a huge chunk that would have even been enough for them to get a private cover themselves.
Somebody actually gave that example. They did the math of how much, 2.7% of how much they made, and it was about 75,000 shillings per year. And he said that he's paying less for his
private cover. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So you see, for it to work, you see how NHIF was, it did pay for a lot of these illnesses and conditions. You saw the way it was taking care of dialysis patients. People, when you go to even whether a public hospital, or even if you're going to go to some of these hospitals that have NHIF as a partner, you're going to be taken care of. But right now, there's also an issue of now the transition. I don't think the government was well prepared for the transition from NHIF to SHIF. So there's still a lot of limbo around that.
Yeah.
So yes, and what you're saying is true. A lot of people are now coming to get private cover.
Yeah.
Because you remember even the civil servants used to enjoy benefits from NHIF.
Yes,
they could go to private hospitals.
Yeah.
But right now the limits are just not making sense.
Yes.
Did you see that even for maternities, 10K for normal birth and 30,000 for C-section in this economy?
It cannot cover anything.
Yeah, it will not be able to cover.
But at the end of the day, I know it's very nice that people are getting private medical insurance, but at the end of the day, as Kenyans, we have to talk about this thing, right? It is very wrong in a country for us not to have access to proper medical care from the government itself. Like the government is supposed to provide that, right? So the government is supposed to provide proper medical care, proper transportation, proper education, right? So as much as even I have my own private medical insurance, we cannot stop talking about that. The government has to cover for, has to give us proper medical care. Because at the end of the day, I keep insisting, we're a third world country. There are people, I saw so many videos on TikTok, on social media, where people are saying that this NHIF used to pay for my family member dialysis, cancer treatments. Someone even quoted that they spend like 40,000 per month on their cancer treatment. My God. And NHIF was paying for it, and now they have to pay out of pocket.
Yeah, it's such an unfortunate thing.
How do you randomly start getting 40,000 shillings to pay? It's just ridiculous.
Exactly.
So anyway, we have to talk about it. We have to push the government to provide us, because at the end of the day, if the government, it's not that NHIF was perfect, but it was better than SHIF, right? So we want something that works, so that even when you're getting your private medical insurance, it becomes affordable.
Yes, exactly.
Because I also saw somebody who said, if SHIF continues not to work, the cost of private medical insurance is going to rise.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's a lose-lose.
It's a lose-lose because again, you see, if now the public medical insurance is not working, there's going to be a higher demand for the private. So most people have that fear that if the demand is that high, that the insurance could get more expensive. So I think right now it's just a matter of just for us to wait and see how it's going to unfold. Maybe in the next exactly 1 year, we can have this conversation again and see
hopefully,
because right now we're still at the beginning stages. We're trying to figure things out. And I'm also still doing my research, and we'll see how this one goes.
Okay, so we're done with factors to consider when choosing a medical insurance, right? And then recently on social media I started talking about the fact that I also have critical illness cover, and people are like, what do you mean?
Again.
You talked to us about medical insurance, and now again you're talking to us about a critical illness cover. And you are actually, I was encouraging them to get a critical illness cover, and people are like, what is the difference between a medical insurance and a critical illness cover?
Very good question. So remember, medical insurance pays the hospital bills, gives you access to hospitals. A critical illness cover pays you the cash. So it's on who receives the money.
Okay.
Right? And this critical illness cover takes care of now the illnesses which are not sufficiently taken care of by a normal medical insurance. So in the case of a cancer, a stroke, a heart attack, 400K will not be able to take care of a cancer. So you need some extra help when it comes to the financial aspect.
Yeah.
So this is now why it's important to have an extra layer of now critical illness cover. So think of it as emergency fund, a good start.
Yes.
And then now you get now your medical insurance to take care of the hospital bills, because the money does not go to you, it just goes to the hospital.
Yeah.
And then now the critical illness cover to supplement the amount of money that has been paid now to the hospital, because it might not be enough. And also in addition, to replace your income. Maybe if you get a cancer, you cannot go back to work. You need to now think about getting better first before now going back. So it does take care of now your income protection and also to supplement the payment of medical bills.
So is this point connected to the sublimits situation?
Yes, exactly. Because remember, yes, you can have a 10 million shilling cover, but cancer is only covered to say 400,000.
Yes, and it costs more to treat cancer.
Yeah, exactly. So it means then if someone was to contract a cancer, the medical insurance can only do so much. Yes, it can be a good place to start, that plus the government sponsored, but then you need maybe to go to India to seek more medical treatment. Where is the money going to come from?
Yes.
And you see, this is now where it is that you now need to involve the community through harambee or WhatsApp groups, because the money, it gets very expensive. The cost of cancer, the cost of a stroke, the cost of kidney failure is extremely
the
high.
cost of disability.
Exactly.
Yes.
All those things are very high. So it's just always good to now just have an extra level of protection to take care of such. Because again, yes, it will take care of the medical bills, but you cannot go to work for another year or 2 years. You focus on just getting better.
Yeah. So before I share like a tip we both know about how to save towards your another tip again, how to save towards your medical insurance and critical illness. Is critical illness also paid as a lump sum? Like,
so critical illness it's more flexible. You can pay per month, you can pay per quarter, or even a lump sum if you choose to. Because of as a business person, I choose to pay once, because I want to pay my premiums once, and the rest of it just focus on making money.
And forget it,
and just forget about it, because every single month to be reminded, sometimes I forget, so I'd rather just pay once and forget about it. But critical illness, you can actually pay slowly
per month.
You can pay
per month, per quarter. That's more flexible, because for sure we have to remind people that when it comes to medical insurance, insurance demand that you pay the annual. So I remember, so one of the things that I shared on my Instagram is that in total, for both my critical illness and my medical insurance per year, it costs 120,000. So I literally took that 120,000, divided it by 12. That's 10,000 per month. So I opened a separate money market fund account to be able to save towards that. Because let's be serious. Usually, when it comes to, or rather, let's be honest, when it comes to paying for this thing, this lump sum, most of us are not able to stick to our budget because we were hit with a lump sum bill. Most of the time, you'll ask someone, oh, how come this month you didn't stick to your budget? Oh, I need to pay for my car insurance. I need to pay for my critical illness insurance. The thing is, you can save towards it. So I opened a separate primary market fund account. Every month I deposit 10,000 shillings, so that when my agent, who is seated here, calls me and tells me that
2 months before, I'm like, 2 months to go.
You need to pay up. You need to pay up your insurance. I won't start telling her stories. That's what I job it. I have been.
If you don't pay, you have no insurance.
So now that we understand what a critical illness cover is and why you need it after you've gotten your medical insurance, it's important to understand what then does a critical insurance cover.
So critical illness insurance, let me give you the examples. The most common one, cancer. We all know you all know somebody who has cancer, and you know how expensive it can get. So it takes care of cancer, it takes care of a stroke, heart attack, it takes care of coma, because again, when someone is in hospital, you don't even know for how long they're going to be in the ICU for. Organ transplant, kidney failure, even paraplegia, and aortic surgery. Those are the most common ones. There's other insurers who go to the extent of even covering this multiple sclerosis, and then now this old people disease, like what is the one which people,
Diabetes.
No. The old people, Parkinson's.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. And it's become very common.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So as I said, that's why it's good to always check who's covering what.
Okay, so then we understand we need both. But the question is, let's say I don't have medical insurance at the moment and I'm wondering, how do I start? So how do I start building my medical insurance portfolio?
Okay, so when you're looking into building your protection portfolio around medical, again, as we said, emergency fund, important place to start.
Yes.
And then now we go to the government sponsored, which was NHIF, now SHIF. Still good to have it just in case, right? And then next level is having a private medical cover. So building up, if you are starting out completely, you can start with a budget cover. If you're tight on cash, or now you can go to a premium cover, depending on what is your need at that time. And then after that, the next level of protection is your critical illness cover, which now takes care of income, replacement in the case you can no longer work because of a critical illness. It can also help supplement paying the medical bills because maybe the medical insurance was not enough. So emergency fund, medical insurance, which government-sponsored private medical, and then critical illness cover.
Okay, so is it possible for you to take us through an example of how a medical insurance cover looks like?
Sure.
Because even me, before I asked you for one, I didn't know how these things look like. Okay, so that we see like first just to have a feeling of how these things look like. Yeah.
So a good example of a client we worked with the other day, for her, she's just stopped working. She's taken a sabbatical, so she was very well prepared. Her emergency fund was healthy.
Yes.
It's like, I need a break. Hey, I'm telling you, this way when you say emergency fund,
with that level of financial freedom, locate me.
Exactly. So she's taken a bit of a break now just to figure herself out. So the first thing she did was now to get her medical cover because the emergency fund is already there.
Yeah.
So she only took an inpatient because she has a very healthy emergency fund, and she's like, she rarely gets sick. So in case she needs to go to hospital, that will take care of it. So her premiums were coming to about 35K for like a 2 million shilling inpatient only.
Yeah. And so this premium, inpatient only.
Inpatient only.
Okay.
Yeah. So she can, in case of now a medical emergency, she can access like the top hospitals as well. Yeah. And she said that's a place to start. And then now she went to the next level because you see now she no longer has the benefits. So if you're transitioning, it's also important to build your own benefits.
Yes.
Because again, you still need the protection whether you're at work or not.
Yes.
So after that, now she spent now the 35 per year, and then now she took a critical illness cover, which is going to be worth about 6K per month.
Okay.
6K per month.
Yeah.
So that takes care of 5 million shillings for critical illness and 5 million shillings for disability.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's interesting that you've given the numbers because I recently online I saw somebody saying if, for example, you're asking me to pay a medical insurance cover for 75,000 shillings and then I end up not using it, why would you want me to get something for 75,000 that I'm not going to use?
Yes.
What is your response to that?
What if you take the 75,000 and also use, it's because remember, this is risk management. You could use it, you could not. We just don't know, right? The reason why you took the 75,000 is because there is a possibility you could fall sick.
Yes.
The reason why we take insurance is because we don't know who it's going to happen to and to what extent.
Yeah.
So again, you pray to God for good health and also make sure that your lifestyle is reflecting that. But you want to know in worst case scenario,
yes,
I can go and the insurer can take care of 3 million shilling bill, right?
Yeah.
I would rather put aside 75 that I can afford compared to a 3 million I cannot afford. So it's just a give and take.
Yeah.
So for the people who are like, lazima nitumie insurance yangu,
yes.
I see.
They're like,
kufa
kupona, lazima I have to go. But then when you have, at the end of the day, something else you mentioned when I was getting my insurance is that I have to make sure that it's like an argument for this guy who's saying for 75,000 shillings. You said that you insisted that I make sure that I go to hospital at least once a year for general medical checkup. Why is that important?
It's so important because, again, as I say, prevention is better than cure. We've had enough clients because they've gone for their annual wellness checkup. Illnesses were discovered early and they were able to be treated early. Let me give you an example. We have a client who got breast cancer. Yeah. And for her, we always like push people, just go, especially already you have the insurance, why not? And even if you don't have the insurance, the outpatient part, just save 10K a year to always make sure that you're going to do these medical tests. So when she went for that test, then they found that she had breast cancer. I think at that point she was only is it stage 2? So it was still early on.
Yeah.
So they were able to catch it on early. And she started the treatment as soon as possible. NHIF paid, the medical insurance paid, the critical illness protection also came through. So it means that she did not have to ask anybody for money.
Yes.
She, by the way, her and her family went through it alone. Like nobody had to know.
Yeah.
And now she's gone from with cancer to cancer free without anybody knowing.
That's very beautiful, because at the end of the day, I feel like one of my definitions of financial freedom is dignity.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yes, there's nothing I cannot prevent an illness, or might
Yeah.
not be able to prevent an accident. Of course, at some point you will tell us that we need to exercise. We need
Yes, please, I must. And eat healthy.
and eat healthy.
These things will catch up with you later
on when you're older.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if I ever got a critical illness, and this is not to say that just because I have a critical illness cover and I have a medical insurance cover, this is not to mean that I will not need community, right? You will need, you'll probably...
But they can come through for you in a different way.
In a different
in
way.
a way that they can.
Yes, like I would be happy if I was able to pay the medical bill, and then my family and my friends just stand with me, pray with me, visit me, bring me flowers, you know, come and laugh with me.
It's true.
Because for sure, I'm sure you've experienced this, where when somebody is unwell, it changes the dynamics of your relationships.
A lot. Because look at it this way, Agatha, because you see, this is more than something just for you yourself.
Yes.
It's also for the people who care about you around you, right? Because if you fall sick, your friends will feel bad.
Yes.
Your family will feel bad.
Yes.
And you see, if you don't have the money, they will have to somehow figure out how they can come through for you.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that we don't put into consideration is we don't know at what financial position they're also at.
Yes.
Because you see,
you never know.
So you know, it's very easy to cancel someone. Oh, you never came through for me financially.
Yeah,
because
I was admitted in hospital and you did not.
But you don't even know what that person is also dealing with and going through at that time.
Yeah.
So it's, as I said, also for the sake of community around you, it will be important for you to, as much as possible, to take care of yourself. Imagine if all of us had a medical cover.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it will not come through for you at all, but at least there's something that has already come through to some extent, and then we're just adding on top of whatever it is that is already there.
Yes.
So it's important now to also put all these factors in mind, because your family will also feel feel mentally, you know, hard. It will be emotionally and mentally hard to see your family member going through
and me supporting you mentally, emotionally, bringing you flowers, coming, and even time. That is a way of contributing.
Exactly.
That's a way of contributing. I don't have to contribute financially because maybe I'm not.
Yes.
And so if I get a medical, I've actually started, I'm thinking about it this way. If I get a medical insurance cover, it's also a way of taking care of my friends and family, because then I am removing from them the responsibility of having to come through for me financially, even when they are not able to. Especially when you think about Kenya, the job security. Aki, today your friend will have a job. Tomorrow they do not have a job.
It's true.
So
exactly. And you see, because if someone is now your close friend, their emergency ends up being your
emergency.
Whether so where does the money come from now? It has to now come from your emergency fund. Where does it come from?
Yeah.
Because you also, as I said, like, when it comes to these situations, I believe it's important to allow our friends to show up the way it is that they can.
I like that. You've said that to me before, and I thought that was a very beautiful thing.
Thank you. Because you know, when most Kenyans we think of coming together for each other, I'm a big believer of being there for each other, and a big believer of Ubuntu and community. But again, it looks different to different people, because most of people are like, no, stacking insurance because, you know, if I was to fall sick, it means that my friends cannot come through for me. But they can come through for you in another way. Because again, or what if you had to fall sick in the middle of COVID? Yeah. You see.
Yes. And I think this also shows what I always say, that doing better with your finances is being a responsible adult. Like for me, I always define adulting as responsibility. So by me taking medical insurance is being responsible for not only me, because you can look at it as a selfish way, like me, I have medical insurance, but it's actually being responsible for you and the people you love.
Exactly. I love that. That is very true.
That's, oh my God. That's a very different perspective, right? Of thinking about medical insurance.
Exactly.
That's a very beautiful thing.
We have to have a mindset shift around this.
Yes. So when people ask you, which medical insurance companies do you recommend?
So I work with many different insurance, and they're all good at different things. And again, as I said, it depends on what it is that you need at that point of time.
Yeah.
Because yes, there's the Jubilee, there's UAP, there's APA, and different clients like different things. So I work with actually mostly the top 5, the ones who are easy to work with, and we know for sure that they pay claims in time. And again, you can also find that one insurer has many different products. That's why it's very hard for me to say get this specific product. Because it works differently for different people.
Yeah, and so we are saying because of that, you need to get medical insurance cover that is customized.
Yes,
and that's why I to give a practical example is that when I was getting my medical insurance, I told Marianne I need glasses throughout the year. I need to see my dentist a few times a year, right? And so she said, then you need to have outpatient cover. And she looked, she sent me actually 3 options, which I like. I like that you give us options. She sent me 3 options, or rather 3 quotations. And she helped me choose the one that would give me the most benefit for my money, right? So because that she's like, I think like my optical insurance per year is 30,000. That's enough. One pair of glasses costs around like 22,000. So it's like I even have an extra 8,000 in case. So the answer to the question, which insurance companies do you recommend, is that you need to have a custom-made medical insurance cover. And how do you do that? So if I wanted I already have.
Yes, you already have.
But if my drivers wanted medical insurance, what do they need to do? How can you help them?
So first of all, they need to fill in the form. You remember you also had to fill in a form.
I also had to fill in the form
so that we can be able to get your details and give you quotes. Because remember, there's so many insurers. Based on whatever information that you put in, whether it's just for you, yourself, your family, we are able to give you maybe the top 3 insurers for your situation. And then now after that, we are going to now narrow down to what is best for you, based maybe now at that point on cost. Because we'll have looked at, okay, your situation, this is the situation at hand. Do you have a pre-existing condition? Do you have kids? And then be like, okay, this is what it is that we have to offer for your situation. And then you narrow down into one. We're going to help you and guide you. So the process is you fill in the form. Then
I will leave a link to the form that she's referring to.
So you fill in the form, then we share with you the quotes. Then you can have a meeting with one of us, anybody in my team, one of the person who's in charge of medical, to just ask the questions. Because again, even in the quote that you're going to receive, it's very, very detailed. We break down what exactly it is that you're covered for. When you have a conversation with a member of our team, you make a choice of whatever it is that you need. Then now we start with the application process. So what do you need for application? You need your ID, you need your KRA PIN, and you just need to fill in the application form and maybe your photo. That's it.
All right. I like that. And it's indeed true that after you receive the quotations, you will need to talk to someone, right? Because I remember the first time I got it, was like, I couldn't understand a bit of these things. So feel free to call them, feel free to have a meeting with them. And is this
their money? So it's good to ask questions. People are scared. I realize people are scared of asking questions.
Especially finance questions. They feel intimidated. And I can tell you for sure, knowing that I got my insurance from her, she's not intimidating. She's going to explain to you things in a very friendly manner. When I ask her basic questions, it's true. I ask her very basic.
Making me blush here.
But it's true. She'll explain to you. I mean, even through this conversation, you've realized that she's explaining to you concepts in a way that you understand. It's the same energy she will have when she's explaining to you as an individual, what do you need. So, and is this a free service, by the sending quotations?
Yes, that's free. It's very free. By the way, we do not charge for the quotes. You can even get a quote now and get the cover later. I mean, it's our service.
Something else, so it's free. So fill out the form. I will leave it in the description form. Then, so the process is, as she said, you fill out the form and then she will send you quotations. If you need a meeting, you'll have a meeting and she'll customize for you the process, the figures, everything. One of the things that surprised me after she sent me my quotations, or after I paid for my medical insurance, is that I have a funeral cover. Talk to us about that. Why does a medical insurance, or not even why? Tell us how a medical insurance cover has a funeral expense cover.
So remember, you could still go through all this and still pass away.
I hate that. Oh my goodness. It's just like new information.
It just happens because you've seen people who go to the hospital and they don't make it out. The people who go and make it out, some just don't. So the insurer has added this as an additional benefit to help the family during that process. Just in case. Because and I've seen it actually pay out. So when it comes to funeral cover, it's a good addition. So in case now one passes away, it caters for now the funeral expenses. And what is usually needed for someone to be able to access it is now the burial permit.
Okay, the burial permit.
They need a burial permit, and then your ID. That's why it's important to make sure that you put the right beneficiary. It's only the beneficiary who can go and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also it's just important to fill in the claim form. It's a very short process. It takes 48 hours.
Oh wow.
Or less.
I like
it's
that.
Important.
Yeah, I like that also.
Yeah.
When I saw that figure,
Yeah.
I was like, I am such a responsible adult
very.
that I have even contributed towards my funeral expenses. Even when I'm dead, I want my dignity to be untouched.
I know. I'm sure you're making some Kenyans, they're feeling some type of way. Kenyans don't like to think about it, but right now it's a very important thing. Because again, I know we are going to have this conversation at another time.
Yeah.
But you see how many groups we are in, we're always asked, like, even for me, like my church group, every week there's someone.
Every week there's someone who needs some contributions.
Yes.
And remember, yes, it's not wrong to contribute, but it's always important to ask yourself, as an individual adult, what are you doing to make sure that you lessen the burden to your loved ones? Because if I passed on today, I know my loved ones would come together to bury me, but it would be nice for them to know
that there's some money.
I have a very dark joke. I wrote a check from my coffee.
Imagine.
Yeah, I contributed to us. Usishtuke sana. Serious sana akiwacha tu tuwasaidia. Another question I received from subscribers, is it cheaper to insure when you're younger?
Yes. It's an age thing, because remember, when you're younger, the chances of you getting some of these illnesses are so low. So usually when you're younger, this is why you can even get insurance for 6,200.
Yes.
Because it's very rare for you to fall sick when you're younger. So it's definitely cheaper, both for critical illness and for medical insurance.
Okay, so
you can see, if we were to now insure our parents.
Yes.
Hey,
which is another question I received, because a lot of people, when I send them this form, a lot of people told me, oh, I actually was asking for, so because I know you have two forms. You have one where somebody fills and you get the quotations, but a lot of people say, I need the senior one, right?
You can even share that one
as
as well.
I need the senior one, because a lot of people, because black tax is a real thing,
it's real.
Where your parents, when they're elderly, it's normal that people get sicker when you're elderly, and you're trying to avoid. Hey, have you ever thought about, an example you gave where somebody, their parent got sick and they had a hospital bill of 5 million. If a parent got sick, or if if your guardian got sick and you have to pay for them 5 million, let's be honest, very few of us Kenyans can afford 5 million shillings to pay for a hospital bill. So what we are saying here, the point was, it's cheaper to insure start insuring yourself when you're younger than insuring your 70-year-old mom.
Yes, and it's also good if you're seeing your parents are about to retire, get them a cover before. Because getting a cover before, when you're already in. They cannot now like cancel you somewhere in between. But now coming as age of entry being like 80 or 70 something, sometimes you even needed to do a medical checkup. And some people fail.
Yes, already you're unwell.
So it's good when you're seeing your parents are about to retire, get it just before they retire, so they're already in the system. So
to give people context, because I said for me, I am paying about 78,000. 78,000 for my medical insurance. How much will it cost for me to, let's say, insure my mom, let's say if she was 70?
So it also depends on the level of coverage you're taking.
Okay.
So you can even get even like 50K. But you see now the 50K that maybe you would have been paying yourself, you could cover you for 3 million.
Yes.
For them maybe to only cover them 1 million.
Because they are older. So it's better to start as early as you can.
Exactly.
And now maybe that we're talking about this, how about, I remember in one of your videos, you talked about the fact that you can come together as a family or as a chama to get a group medical insurance, because that lessens the burden. Maybe you can tell us more about that.
So instead of now maybe changiaring for each other in the groups, what you could do is now collectively come together and now get a group cover. It's even cheaper. And some group covers, you can either choose now to go the SME route, now the small and medium enterprises, say if you have a family business, or you can now get some insurance through now for the chama and the groups, and it's more affordable because you're already coming in with the numbers.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And is that something also that you can provide?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I will leave Miriam's Instagram page, email, and every other way you need to get in touch with her, because clearly it is better to get this thing as a group as opposed to an individual. Another question: what is premium financing? Like, what is premium? I saw you talk. Insurance premium financing. What is that?
Okay, so if you want to pay for medical insurance and you do not have, say, the whole 100K at a go, what you could do is to get insurance premium financing. That means that the bank pays the insurer the full premium amount and you pay the bank slowly.
Okay.
So remember, in Kenya, insurance is a cash and carry business. So the full amount has to be paid upfront.
Yes.
So you see, if you don't have the full amount upfront, you can come into an agreement with your bank and the insurer. The bank pays the insurer that amount and you pay the insurer slowly.
Okay. Of course, it will cost you a little bit more.
Yeah, just a bit more.
Okay,
like a bit of interest.
Okay, because at the end of the day, the bank is in the business.
It's in the business.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not charity. I always say insurance is not charity. The bank is not charity.
Yeah.
So they all have also to make their money.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I want us to close. You can talk to us about the hacks, tips when it comes to our wellness, our medical insurances, and our critical illness, everything, you know, like hacks and wellness, like based on what you've learned from your long career as an insurance, as an insurance professional.
Okay.
And before you start, the reason I've asked this question, I gave you an example earlier where I was unwell. Actually, it's that accident, and then I got a prescription.
I
was in hospital X, and the prescription in that hospital cost me 4,080, but on that day, my insurance didn't approve, and she sorted it out, right? But then I went to another hospital with the same prescription, and it cost me 2,000 shillings. And I started thinking, that means that if I keep going to this hospital X, it means that I can deplete my outpatient cover in less than a year.
Exactly.
But if I choose these other hospitals, it can last me the whole year.
That's a very good point, Agatha. So you see, when you're looking into now, when you're planning with your insurance, if you already have the insurance, it's good to shop around because you can find that some chemists charge more for the exact same thing. And again, as you said, you don't want to deplete your outpatient cover. Because again, also, when the insurer looks at your utility report and you've exhausted everything, there's also high chances that they can bump your cover the following year.
Whoa.
Yeah. But then when they see that you overutilize, because they're like, hey, kumbe, this person is higher risk than we actually thought. So you have to be very careful on how you utilize your cover. So it's good to, before you even now maybe go to a specific place, go check around, just do some bit of comparison to see that if this is something that makes sense, right? Because again, some places, because you told me like, for this other place, they charge you double compared to this new place. So always check that one out. And then again, it's good to utilize your provider panel. The moment you go outside the panel, outside the hospitals, the doctors, the clinics, you might have to pay off pocket, and you don't want to do that. That's why it's good to check the panel before you maybe even take up the insurance to see if it's a panel that works for you or if your doctor is in that panel. So it's also very important to claim your group benefits before you do your individual. So if you have medical cover through work, it's important to first of all use that one before you come to your own individual one, because again, remember, as I said, the more you utilize the cover, the more the insurer can see that you're a high risk, and they might end up now lumping up some money on top of your current premium. So it's good to first of all use what it is that you have through your employer. Then now, if that is not enough, that's when you eventually go to yours. Another important thing is to ask for an itemized bill when you are admitted. Here in Kenya, sometimes one thing I have noticed is some hospitals end up adding things that you did not even use. So it's always important that after every day, if it's either you or someone who cares about you is around you, to be asking for what exactly is the itemized bill every day, so that to just make sure that they've not given you, maybe they've not added some medication or a procedure that
you did not
that you did not take. Because remember, this is something that is depleting your cover. Another very important thing is, don't opt for expensive and unnecessary products. Again, sometimes people want to get money through the insurers. Not everybody is a good person. So if you don't feel that the doctor is legitimate, or maybe they're just trying to give you to do a procedure that may not be necessary, always go ask for a second opinion to see if it's necessary. So you don't also end up depleting whatever it is that you have. Then you can also consider telemedicine. It's so much cheaper as well, but only for issues that are not that serious, like a flu. So usually telemedicine, you can see that can even go sometimes to 500 bob or even 1,000, which also the insurer will pay. But it's good to put that into consideration if the situation is not that serious. Another very important tip is now around your lifestyle. Very, very important to eat healthy. Very important to move your body. Because again, a lot of these illnesses are due to an accumulation of just bad lifestyle choices. Again, if you can avoid smoking, don't smoke. Right? If you can avoid eating unhealthy food, don't do it. Because again, remember, you are your greatest assets. You're the one who's going out there to make the money, to do all these investments. So you need to make sure that you are at your optimal, you're at the best that you can be. So be very intentional on how it is that you're eating, how it is that you're moving your body. And especially a lot of us who nowadays work from home, just stand and walk around the compound, right? Go breathe some fresh air. There's some people who don't even see the sun for days. They're just in front of screens. And you see now, as I said, all these might not affect you now, but now when you're in your 40s, your 50s, there's a way it all just comes in and just affects you at that time. And then, as we had mentioned earlier, doing the annual wellness checkup, very important. It's also part of risk management.
At the end of the day, what you're saying here, even if you have the medical insurance, it's not necessary that you use it. You know, I know people, I already say that people say, why would I pay 75,000 and end up not using it? It's actually counterproductive when you argue like that, because now I'll ask you, do you actually want to get sick?
You're putting yourself in a situation to fall sick so that you can use
your medical.
It doesn't make sense. Just think about medical insurance as like worst case scenario to catch you when you fall, right? So you don't also go out there driving without a safety belt. You know, because
you don't drive without a safety belt because you have medical insurance.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't work
so please
that way.
do as much as you can to take care of yourself.
And then what is copay?
So there's situations where if you're to go maybe outpatient to a general practitioner, you're meant to pay a certain amount and the insurer will pay us another amount. So what usually happens if you go to the doctor, the insurer is telling you, I'm only willing to pay this amount, the rest of it you take care of it yourself. So again, different insurers work differently and different insurers have different levels of copay. So usually sometimes to go around this copay, it will be important maybe to go straight to the specialist instead of now going first of all to a GP, then a GP still has to take you to the specialist. So it's good now if you already know what condition it is that you have, just go straight to the GP so you don't have to pay the copay. And to avoid that, just look at the list of doctors and doctors and pharmacies and blah blah that you are sent after you go to your medical insurance. Like literally what I'm saying, you will find the list of specialists on your list of medical insurance so that you avoid copay. Because I've seen that argument on social media where you have medical insurance but you still required to pay an amount of money. So it's like, why was I paying? Exactly. And as I said,
so you can avoid it.
Yes, exactly.
Is it possible to change or to edit or to add to your medical insurance? And this was a question from someone who has 2 babies and they're pregnant for the other one. So it's like, can you update your medical insurance?
Yes, you can update your medical insurance. Remember, it's very flexible because we do understand that things change in life. You could start as single, then you get married, then you get children. So it's very flexible. You can always change. All you need to do is just let the insurer know, then they send you some forms to fill, then they get added. Yes.
I think one last question that I saw in one of your videos is about like there's a situation you are describing where there's some form of insurance one can take that pays you when you're sick, that replaces your income when you're sick.
Yes, the hospitalization cover. Yes, so especially for people who make money on a daily, like the mama mbogas, the ones if you were to get hospitalized today, you don't
people
have
not
money.
eat in your house.
People will not eat in your house.
But isn't that almost everyone?
No, for most salaried people, even if you have sick leave.
You have sick leave. Oh, so you mean like as even me,
even maybe
because as a financial coach, if I don't show up for coaching, then I'll not make money.
Some income.
That's
so
true.
what it does, now it's the hospitalization cover. What it does is, if you get hospitalized, the days that you have been hospitalized, there's an amount of money that you get paid as an income displacement due to hospitalization. So it doesn't have to be now at a critical illness, just a normal hospitalization. Say you got malaria, but you've been hospitalized maybe for 5 days. They will give you, based on the amount of coverage you took, an amount every single day that you are.
And is that something you recommend that we get?
It's good especially if you work on a day-to-day, because for me, I don't get it because I have my emergency fund. I don't see it's extremely necessary. And again, if you're someone who's salaried, it might not be that necessary. But people who, like you, if you do not work today, you will not eat, it's highly recommended.
We'll probably talk about that more the
Yes.
next time you come and we talk, because protection is such a long, it's a wide conversation.
Yes.
So we need to have her here to talk about life insurance. Even if yes, we had a webinar about life insurance, there's much more to talk about when we talk about income protection. There's trust, there's estate planning, there's a lot we're going to have a conversation about. So lastly, if somebody wanted to hire you as an agent, right, or to get your services rather, right, for medical insurance, critical illness, or anything protection, how can they find you?
So you can come to us at Le Risk Africa page on Instagram or on TikTok. Also, you can now reach out to me, or maybe by email, mnyindo@leriskafrica.com. I'll leave Agatha the details. And then also you can easily fill in the forms. That is the fastest way actually to be able to get help. So usually within 24 to 48 hours, you should get a quote. And then you can take it up from there. We're always happy to take you through this journey.
Like from working with you, I realized that no matter how many emails I send you, or no matter how many DMs I send you, at the end of the day, I need to fill this form in order for you to understand how old am I? Do I have any pre-existing conditions? Who am I covering? Is it just me, or do I have a child? Like I need to give you this information in order for you to send me a quote. And this is an automated process, right? One last question. Mostly because, well, Tribe has asked me to ask you. For Kenyans living in diaspora, so what's the question? For Kenyans living in diaspora,
can they get for their people here? Yeah, they can.
Okay.
They can, Again, just always let us know your specific situation, because a lot of people get even for their parents. They're maybe somewhere in the UK or whatever it is, and then because they don't want the constant bills that is sent to them, so they can always get now cover for their people here.
Which is actually cheaper.
It's cheaper.
To just get your parents, so they don't ask you for Panadol every 2 days.
I know.
All right. Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you.
It's always awesome.
Thank you
a reminder
so much.
that this is the second sit-down conversation I've had. The first one we had with Marianne was parents. I will remind you again, education insurance policies is not the way to plan for your child's education. And you're wondering why, how, oh my God, I'm already in this mess. We have a video. We already had a conversation about that. We already had a webinar about life insurance, which is part of the protection conversation. So go out and watch it. I will link it in the description and up there. And it's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you.
Thank you so much.
All right. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.